All right, thank you very much for tuning in. All right, so how many victims? Right, that's the question. All right, how many? Like, this is a question that, we look at, for example, Robert Picton, right? He was joking that he wanted to kill another one to make it an even 50, right? 50 people. And right, this is the guy that everybody was so happy when he got shanked in prison, he died. So for example, Justin Bork, right? A another mass psycho, right? Killed, three people, right? Imagine, killing three. These were law enforcement agents, right? Law enforcement officers, and these victims got a like a memorial and everything like that for three, right? Right, or Alexandre Bissonnette, for example, Derek Soretsky, right? These guys come to mind, right? These are the worst of the worst, right? So to estimate the total number of lost embryonic human lives resulting from a birth control prescription by Dr. Down over her 35-year medical career in Claire, let's use conservative and realistic assumptions to arrive at a reasonable estimate. So it's been 35 years or so. Patients seen for birth control. Let's say, for example, 300 women a year. Let's say, for example, about 35 a month, right? So, number percentage of patients using hormonal birth control, pills, IUD, and implants, 80%, right? 240 per year. Um, Percentage of cycles where ovulation may still occur despite birth control. Scientific literature suggests ovulation occurs in 5 to 10% of the cycles on the pill. So let's use 5% as a conservative estimate, right? So 5%, yeah. So the total average cycles per woman per year, right, is 12. Total potential ovulatory cycles, 240 women times 12 cycles. That's 2,880 ovulatory cycles per year, and cycles with breakthrough through ovulation. That's going to be 144 cycles per year where ovulation may occur. Chance of fertilization given intercourse during ovulation, that's 30%, right? 30%. And the estimated conception per year, 30% times 144, that's 43 embryonic lives per year, right? 43 per year. Right? You've made, you're she likes to count her dollars per year, but these babies would have counted, their first breath before she would have made that large amount of money at the end of the year. Right, these are viable pregnancies, right? That's really and estimated over 30 years. So in excess of 1,000 lives, in excess of 1,000 souls that she's responsible for. Like I said, Alexandre Bissonnette killed six people, right? Derek Soretsky killed three people, right? And this is unfathomable, right? Over 1,000, over 1,000, even one is too much, and she's responsible to, for 1,000 lives, right? Embryonic human lives, right? And oh, it's just an embryonic or whatever. It's an embryo, it's a blastocyst, it's a fetus, it's a zygote. You can try to dehumanize him or her all you want, but it's never going to work, right? Maybe it'll work in your bubble, but at the end of the day, no, no. It would never, right? This is a conservative estimate, right? The number could be much higher. So the only thing that I need to know is in excess of 1,000, right? I don't care how much the amount is. Once you're killing one person, right? But in excess of 100, in excess of 1,000, right? Wow. This is a little bit, and she's saying, it's annoying that he's talking about it. No, it's annoying that you're killing people, right? That's what's annoying. That's really what's annoying. So if she saw more patients yearly, the ovulation failure was more than 5%. So the number could be much higher. Like it says here, if the patient compliance with pills was lower, making ovulation more likely. Let's say, for example, you forget the pill, right? They forget the pill. If emergency contraception, which often works post-fertilization, was prescribed regularly, and if the IUDs, which may prevent implantation post-conception, were more common. So you know, at least 100, at 1,500, that's what the estimate says. In excess of 1,000 lives. Can you imagine that? That is so grotesque. That is so grotesque, right? Human beings, right? A baby boy and baby girls were conceived and lost under Dr. Dew's care, right? Ah, man, I don't even want to call it care. What do we call it? Um, Gross negligence, right? That's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, what is it, right? Care? It's not care at all. And yes, every one of them with a soul, with a purpose, with an identity. It is known and remembered by the one who sees all. And not one hair, not one cell, and not one heartbeat went unnoticed. And when their names may not be written on paper, but they're engraved in eternity. Right. So it's this is a little bit. Sorry, this is a little bit new age here. Let's speak to the creator. Let's see that to the creator who sees all. There's some new versions that say the one and all that stuff. Don't worry about that. Right? This is the creator of heaven and earth. Much more Christian, very, very more Christian friendly here. All right, so is known and remembered by the creator of heaven and earth who sees all. All right, so, every single hair on these babies' heads, right? Over 1,000 babies, right? Every single hair on on that baby's head. All right, so the point is also, I want to stress this too, and this is important here. Although it's impossible to know at this point how many babies were lost, there will be a final tally, and that number will be revealed. And that number will be revealed. So, although it's impossible to know at this point how many babies were lost, right? There will be a final tally, right? There will be a final calculation. There will be a computation of how many babies were, that she's actually responsible, guilty. So how it will look like this, right? Now, Dr. Michelle Dow, you have you are responsible for killing, all right, this number, a number. Let's say, for example, let's say, for example, it's 1,000, children. How do you plead? Well, I plead, not guilty. And then they will try the case, and then we'll find, this is for example, this is a damnable offense. Right, this is not something that it will be a custodial sentence. This is a damnable offense. You have to remember that this is a damnable offense. You can go to hell for this. Right, this is a serious matter. Right, this is a damnable offense. Right, murder is a damnable offense. Right, right. It's scary, right? That this is a frightening thing, right? She's at imminent risk of going to hell for all eternity, right? Let's say, for example, she has an accident and dies today. She's going to see the fires of hell today, right? She needs to, you know. I mean, she needs to repent, right? You don't like it's very, very easy for us to say, oh, she's a terrible killer. She doesn't deserve forgiveness. She doesn't deserve. There's right. God is not willing that any should perish, right? So that's the reason why Jesus came to the earth to save the most wretched of sinners, right? The most wretched of sinners, and that's what I'm talking about right here, right? Dr. Mitchell Dowes is literally responsible for 1,000 children, right? A thousand souls, right? And that's why Jesus came, right? Jesus is trying to reach out to save this girl's soul, right, from eternal damnation, right? Right? She's a serial killer, man. It's quite frightening.